Five Nights at Freddy's 4 has always bothered many people for a multitude of different reasons. From the appearance of Nightmare in the game's ending nights, the ominous Fredbear plushie that always watches over your character in the cutscenes, and finally, the mysterious box that still to this day has not been opened. But me personally, after all this time, it's not about some mysterious box or the paranormal entities that terrorize you. No, my most pressing concern is one of a deeper terror, something horrid and terrifying, connected to the horrible trials that William Afton ran deep underground. That concept is logistics. And my burning question, where the hell did the nightmares come from? Let me actually explain, and not just give you an ominous entry to this theory. Through every single game and story, every single animatronic is accounted for, except for the physical shells of the nightmares. Every single animatronic created by Fazbear Entertainment, not you, Mimico 2, you suck, is accounted for at this point in the timeline. Fredbear, also known as Golden Freddy and Spring Bonnie, were locked in the safe room of Freddy's and Friends. The animatronics that would become the Withered animatronics were actively performing at Freddy's and Friends. Just a quick note, not to get into too much timeline stuff, but Freddy's and Friends is the location opened up after Fredbear's closed down due to the bite of 83, but before FNAF 2's location opened up. The problem arises then on where or when the nightmares were made and why. William would find it hard-pressed to try and explain to the other company executives, or to try and outsource the production to Edwin Murray's company or the Afton Robotics Company, both companies working under Fazbear Incorporated, that he needs a bunch of blank slate animatronics for something, and he would definitely not have the time at this point in the timeline to just, well, make them himself, with him balancing his executive responsibilities as Fazbear Entertainment and, well, you know. As we all know, through previous theories and bits of lore that have been discovered, FNAF 4's physical location is a testing chamber used by William to study the effects of fear and remnant in children, and his ultimate goal to pursue this messed up idea of immortality. He does this by using illusion discs to project the nightmarish appearance of the animatronics onto empty shells. Short tangent, but in case you are not fully up to date, illusion discs now are canon to the games, thanks to Tales of the Pizzaplex 2's Hap's story, where a story in the book has illusion discs projecting the appearance of a man's family onto animatronic shells. The Tales of the Pizzaplex books are indeed canon to the game's story, which confirms illusion discs. Anyways, now that we have information on the illusion discs, that they are definitely canon, and they require a shell to project onto, the big logistical question is, where are the Nightmare animatronics shells? Fredbear's was obviously closed down in 1983. Quickly, either the next location opened up in late 83 or early 84. This was Freddy's. It stayed around only for a couple years, at the latest ending in 1985. This is our golden spot right here, right after Freddy's closes down, but before Five Nights at Freddy's 2 locations open up. But why, Evie? What does this have to do with FNAF 4, you ask? Well, it's quite simple. We're missing a location. The Five Nights at Freddy's 2 location likely took a year or two of construction to get operating, since FNAF 2's location is Fredbear's location, just refurbished. So it's safe to assume now the Withered animatronics were moved there to be stored while construction is being done. But in the meanwhile, Afton has some new toys he wants to try out. This brief period where nothing else was happening, William was able to swoop in with his new creations, the Fun Times. These colorful assorted animatronics, as you would very well know, were designed to kill and capture, so William could begin to learn about Remnant. Unfortunately, there was an incident with William's daughter, and he had to close it down, citing a gas leak. This is most likely happening all in 1985's early months, but he won't let a pesky accidental murder get in his way. He still has Remnant to learn about. So while Funtime Chica is back on the surface, keeping the money flowing in the brand new Chica's Party World, something else is going on below the surface. Before William began renting out the Fun Times in order to collect Remnant, he needed a new plan to learn about it all, and what a better way to take out two birds in one stone. than to torture your own son as a punishment for killing his brother accidentally in the bite of 83, while making a chamber that can help you learn about Remnant. What a great dad! Assuming Michael is on the younger side in 1983, around 13 or 14, then in 1985 he would be 15. Still developing emotionally and still very easy to manipulate with fear, especially if you have illusion discs. Michael served as a sort of test run for Williams' FNAF 4 fake horror house, as he used the nightmare-looking animatronics to terrorize him. But dang, here we are again, on the topic of where the nightmares came from. Only one logical conclusion can be made. Who do we know have illusion discs inside of them? Who do we know William has easy access to right now? The fun times. The fun times are the empty shells. The fun times are the nightmares. The fun times equipped with their illusion discs simply use them to mask their original shape. Once you take those into account and that shapes do not matter, then you begin to draw some interesting parallels with the behavior and ideas behind each one of them. Funtime Foxy seem to be fast, just like Nightmare Foxy. Nightmare Chica conveniently sends her cupcake to kill you instead of doing it herself, just like how Funtime Freddy sends Bon Bon to kill you instead of doing it himself. Nightmare Fredbear has a huge stomach and mouth, just like Baby's Hatch. The Freddles could easily be the Bitty Babs, and Nightmare Freddy could be Yendo. That just leaves the small problem of Nightmare Bonnie. Ballora can't be Nightmare Bonnie. Her track system required for her movement would make it impossible. Luckily for us, we have a spare. More on that later, though. Anyways, a Bitty Bab could also easily act in the place for Plush Trap. That was a whole lot, so let's just rewind to all of our key evidence. The Funtimes have illusion discs. Illusion discs are used on blank or empty shells to project false appearances. William has free use of the Funtimes because of Circus Baby's Pizza World closing down. The first one I want to talk about is the idea that Funtime Freddy is simply Nightmare Chica. He's using his illusion disc to transform into the appearance of Nightmare Chica. It's been shown a few times in Five Nights at Freddy's that Funtime Freddy launches Bon Bon as his primary means of attack. First seen in the non-canon Custom Night of Sister Location that can be ignored, but in Help Wanted 1 and 2, he uses Bon Bon to attack the player. While both canonically VR games, in Help Wanted 2, the appearance of Funtime Freddy could be the Mimic already having control of your mind at this point, using you to spread his code, but the Mimic has to know Funtime Freddy attacks. It could simply be mimicking Help Wanted 1, but what if it was mimicking how Funtime Freddy / Nightmare Chica attacked in FNAF 4's Experiment? Nightmare Fredbear and Nightmare both have a very noticeable design choice. On their stomachs is a large mouth. Circus Baby is also famous for the incident where her own hatch kills Elizabeth. The transformation from Fredbear into Nightmare could be linked into an uptick in Remnant in the testing chamber. Maybe no one has ever gotten to night 7 or 8, save for Michael, so the sheer amount of agony and Remnant has caused the discs to either malfunction or change their use into projecting the traditional Nightmare Fredbear shell into a much darker creature that looms in the night before Michael in his final nights. The others really aren't important in terms of which body could be which. Taking out Circus Baby and Funtime Freddy, that leaves Lolbit, Yendo, and Funtime Foxy to be the last standard animatronics, since Ballora can't walk properly. More on that later. The Bitty Babs could easily be the Freddles, since they would be big enough to have an illusion disc and have the weight to them, unlike the mini Rinas who are rather small. That just leaves Nightmare Foxy, Bonnie, and Freddy. I believe it's most likely Yendo who could act as Nightmare Freddy's stand-in due to his bulk matching somewhat to how normal Nightmare Freddy is. This would allow the illusion of weight to be better maintained. Let's also take Nightmare Bonnie out for a minute and step back to Nightmare Foxy, who could be either Lolbit or Funtime Foxy, but I'm going to have to lean towards Lolbit, simply because she actually has a hook. While yes, the illusion discs can make illusions, they can't have an actual hook. So if it needed to be used by Nightmare Foxy and his jump scare on you and, making you not alive anymore, whichever poor victim is currently in the trials, Lobit would be the best bet to do so. That just leaves the problem of Nightmare Bonnie. The simple conclusion that Nightmare Bonnie could be Funtime Foxy is a good and valid one. It's just the slight issue of bulk. Funtime Foxy is a much smaller character than Nightmare Bonnie. However, we have one more piece we could use. The spring-lock suit Michael finds himself in on night 4. Taking the idea of capturing the victim out of the scene, there's no reason William couldn't retrofit the spring-lock suit with some new technology, slap on an illusion disc, and then send it out there with all of its brethren to go torture his poor son, Michael. Since all of the new lore has been added to the games with the Halloween version of Help Wanted 2 and the appearance of Jacko Chica in Ultimate Custom Night, the Halloween animatronics have since been made canon very clearly. So it doesn't make much of a difference for Funtime Freddy and the Springlock suit to not just switch out which illusions they are using, even if the Jackos appear at all in Five Nights at Freddy's 4's canon. Even though the Halloween DLC is distinctly non-canon, it's still possible he had those designs ready for a reason. But that still leaves two problematic animatronics, if one of them can even be called that. Remember Ballora? This is where she could come in. Ballora could replace Lolbit as Nightmare Mangle's new stand-in. The tangle of limbs would be just fine for Ballora to use an illusion disc to make herself appear like, leaving her a use at last instead of just standing on the stage for William to goggle at. However, we have one problem left, and he's a big one. Horrid animatronic is the root cause of every FNAF fan's nightmares. He was at first not canon, but then later re-canonized in UCN, and then further canonized in Help Wanted and Security Breach. So, man, great comeback, Nightmare. Just one problem. You're oopy goopy, and your limbs do not work properly. No way Yendo is going to turn into slush to try and match you, or Baby, or any of the other animatronics. You're just too tall and skinny to give off a good illusion of weight or movement. We can't even account for the security puppet because it's over at Five Nights at Freddy's 2 location, which is currently being built. Sadly, Nightmare remains an enigma. Perhaps it's simply just an agony creature or the Grim Reaper itself. Unless, wait, that might actually work. Hold on. What if Nightmare is just all of the mini arenas combined into a super mega mini arena, like Voltron or the Power Rangers, climbing up to form limbs and fingers? It's perfect. I haven't thought of this before. Obviously, that last part was a joke. Nightmare truly has no good origins still to reinforce this portion of the theory. So sadly, he remains a mystery still. It is canon, though, that Fazbear Entertainment is well aware of him. So it's more of a question at this point, how? I guess some things can't really be answered right away. It's a bit of a theory I just threw around, and honestly, in the long term, all it really does is try and answer who were the nightmares, something not actually important to the story anymore. But I thought it'd be neat to try and figure out, so I guess here we are. I guess it could have some timeline implications, not really sure honestly. I was just bugged out by a logistical concern, and it morphed into this theory for me. Big thanks to Sire Squawks for his FNAF 2 and Fredbear's taking place at the same location idea, and Not Real at All's Funtime Chica's location idea. Both of those videos will be linked down below. Finally, I got curious and wondered if anyone else had this idea before me, and lo and behold, an old Reddit post from 2020 got dredged up. This poor man got flayed alive for proposing a very similar theory, asking if the Funtimes could be the nightmares. So, rest in pieces, Thumper Maker. I don't know how to pronounce your name. It seems like the fans on the subreddit took you out for this theory, since you have not been active since 2020. It was fun putting this theory together, and I still have a couple ideas given to me by my co-workers of mine, so thanks a lot. You know who you are. Anyways, that's all for now. Bye-bye!